Terry Francona took over this team in 2004, and he changed everything for the Red Sox. Theo Epstein, one of the great GMs, and really changed everything for the Red Sox and the Cubs. That's the transition, and that's what you really look at when you try to compare what the Patriots did and what the Red Sox did. Theo Epstein took over a team that has never won. They didn't win a World Series. He had to change everything for this organization, and he built this team from top to bottom. Key players to these teams, David Ortiz. Who traded for David Ortiz? Theo Epstein. Manny Ramirez. Pedro Martinez. Kurt Schilling. Nomar Garciaparra. Johnny Damon. And Kevin Youkilis. So many good players, and people forget. And remember, people forget about Dustin Pedroia. I mean, there were a lot of good players on this team and on this roster for those 10 years.
And Pedroia came on in a time where they lost Johnny Damon and they lost Nomar Garciaparra, so there's a lot of pressure in that element too. Pedro Martinez goes to the Mets. They've had to go a whole new pitching staff in a sense, and the Red Sox have done such a great job with this turnover thing too because of free agency for partially, but it's not like they were spending massive amounts of money every single year. And I would say 13 was a little more impressive than 07, but you still have to give them a lot of credit for where they got.
Keith, first of all, they won championships. They won 3 championships.
In the dead ball era.
Dead ball era. They weren't called the World Series. It wasn't called the World Series.
Right.
So they fought. It was the championship. It became the World Series. I think, when did it become the World Series?
I want to say like 1915 or something like that.
Was it the 1915?
Yeah, because they had a lot of turnover with the name changes. I know when the Cubs won, it wasn't technically called that. They were trying to decide on the name for many different reasons. It was a very weird time in baseball. But I think like with the Red Sox.
All right, it was the first time they won a championship in over 100 years, close to 100 years. Okay,
right.
It was like 80 or 90 years, whatever it was. It was a long time.
Yeah.
So to change that for everything, since the curse of the Bambino,
yep.
Theo Epstein had a lot to do with it. So did Terry Francona. So, okay, you want to call it the World Series, Keith? Fine. But what I'm saying is Theo Epstein and Terry Francona changed everything for that organization, and they didn't win a championship for a very, very long time. It was over 60, 70, 80 years, whatever it is. So that's what I'm saying.
I'm going to go with the Red Sox for that reason, the pressure of trying to win the World Series in that time when, again, they had so many good teams for so long and found so many weird ways to lose, like especially as they did with the Mets, too. And like I said, the turnover from the 04 to the 07 team, sometimes that doesn't happen overnight. You talk about it all the time. The AL East is so good. Even the 06 season, they missed the playoffs. There were like 690 win teams in the American League, so I'm not going to hold that against them. I also think the Patriots had 2 easy cakewalks in the AFC in Super Bowl 51 and 53 season. The second best team I thought that year was the Raiders, and our car got hurt. And Super Bowl 53, they barely played anybody besides the Chiefs to get there. And their opponents in the Super Bowl, I don't think were as good as the Red Sox opponents in the World Series. So I'm going to go with the Red Sox.
I'm going with Tom Brady and that New England Patriots team. They won how many Super Bowls between those years? 3?
It was 3 in the 5 years.
They won 3 in 5 years. Do you know how hard it is to win Super Bowls? How many teams in history won 7 Super Bowls? The Patriots won 6. The Pittsburgh Steelers won 6. They won 3 in those 5 years. It's so hard to win Super Bowls. Now, I know I'm not saying it's not hard to win World Series like the Red Sox did in those years, but what the Patriots did in that time span was fantastic. When you go up and down the rosters and the transition of those rosters, different rosters every single year. Different running backs, different wide receivers, different offensive linemen, different defensive linemen. How many different defensive linemen went from one team to another? This was every single year was a different 53-man roster. And Tom Brady was the lonesome guy over there, and Rob Gronkowski. It was really Rob Gronkowski every single year and Tom Brady. That's it. And then Wes Welker went somewhere else. He went to the Broncos. And then they drafted Julian Edelman. And then Matt Light goes somewhere else. And then Logan Mankins goes somewhere else. Everybody went somewhere else. With Vince Wilfork went to the Texans. Mm-hmm. Everything changed. And every single year, but they still found a way to win with the same coach, with the same quarterback. And to me, that's the most amazing thing out of it all. Now, I'm not saying what the Red Sox did and how the Red Sox did it in a time that they didn't win a championship for close to 100 years. That's great. The curse of Bambino, I understand it. But what the Patriots did in such a short span, winning 3 out of 5, was just remarkable, absolutely. So I'm going to go with the New England Patriots.